So hello again, everyone. And today we're going to be looking at plot layouts in Irricad Link. Now, Irricad Link uses the inbuilt AutoCAD and BricsCAD method of viewports into the model space. And um, we have our own Irricad paper space layouts because unlike AutoCAD and BricsCAD, well, most AutoCAD and BricsCAD users, our designs are in meters and feet rather than millimeters or inches. And the viewports in our layouts have been created to scale accordingly. So let me just see if I can move some of these things so I can see what I'm doing. That's it. I've moved that bar away. So I'm just going to draw a pipe here. Doesn't matter what it is. And here we can see that there's two of our layouts here along the bottom. And we can zoom to select the view that we want to actually print. There is a tool in Irricad Link which is Prepare Layout. So this was added at a later stage. And what this does is it finds the closest Irricad scale and sets it accordingly. So if we look at the properties, we can see that the closest scale was 1 inch equals 30 foot. And we also have the option to lock the display once we've got things exactly how we want. And this means if you accidentally click on it, it's not going to change the scale because you've locked it. Now here we have the scale. Now if I double click on that and go to look at the field expression, you'll see that we have a very particular field expression which our viewport has been set up to. So this is how it scales the way that you're used to Irricad scaling designs in standalone. So we're going to be looking at customizing legends a little bit. So let's first um, load a design. Oh, sorry, maybe we have to go back to model space for that. Get out of there. And we're going to be looking at the design that we were using yesterday. Oh, sorry. Clicking on the wrong thing. Okay, so this is just an example design. And one of the things that you'll note that when you prepare layout or populate the legend is that the legend areas are actually very editable in Irricad Link. So here we can see that we've got two columns, but the length of some of those product names are a bit long. And we can simply just double click on this rectangle that makes up the legend and make some changes. So we're going to change the text size, for example. Now, if we make that a little bit smaller and then repopulate the legend, we can see that we have very quickly and easily changed that text size, maybe change the number of columns or change the length of the wire. That can all be done in these attributes. To load additional layouts, simply right click on an existing layout and select from template. Now, typically your drawing templates that you start with will be the Irricad default one. The Irricad layout DWT includes other layouts basically. So this is where you can select them from. So for example, if I take the key, C key bottom, let's go C key bottom right, we can now include this, this layout here. Now these layouts, so I always forget about this little guy here, you quit. These layouts are available in the normal template location for AutoCAD or BricsCAD, but we'll have a look at that a little bit later. Oh no, we're going to be looking at it now. Okay, so you can permanently add additional layouts to your DWT file. So if you're using a particular template that you want to start your designs with, such as the default Irricad template, and you want to add more or subtract, is this okay?
Yes. Yeah. I think I accidentally muted you, Joe. I meant to mute myself.
Okay, yes, I saw that come up. Okay, so you can make changes to the standard template, but the best way to do that is in the host CAD environment rather than an Irricad link, because it's very important to not Irricadize the template when you're modifying it. And this is because when you run BricsCAD or AutoCAD or Irricad link, which of course fires up the host CAD program, it opens the default document before it loads Irricad. It has that process because Irricad's an add-on, it comes last, meaning that any Irricad elements in the template will not be recognized. So if you're getting the message, unload Irricad before loading Irricad, that will be because you have Irricadized your template. And a quick way to check for that is to check the layers. So if you've got more layers present than just the legend and the viewport, then you have done an Irricad action, even if it's only just looking at the settings or the Irricad options. As soon as you do that, you'll have Irricadized the template and you'll see all of the Irricad layers present there. So if you save a DWT file in that state, you will have problems. So what we're going to look at now is we're going to look at opening the DWT file. Now, just a note that if you are, if you've got AutoCAD and BricsCAD licenses in your company, then edit the templates in AutoCAD, not in BricsCAD. And this is simply because AutoCAD knows if it wasn't saved in AutoCAD, it will complain. I mean, it will work, but it will complain every time you use it. So we're just going to go open, change the template to DWT. And here we've been taken to the, in this case, the normal AutoCAD template location, which is nicely hidden under users, your login name, app data local, and then through the Autodesk to the template folder. Now, if I go to the default template, we can open that. We can say, well, in my particular case, I never use the size D paper, so I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to add from template the C key right page. And then we can simply save as, always give it a different file name. And this is just a check. If something goes wrong, you can always go back to the default one. However, there are copies of these default DWT files in your installed Irricad link config folder. So I'm going to give it a new name. And you can save it anywhere you want, but we have noticed recently someone who had saved their templates on OneDrive that they were getting issues. So whether that was because of the logos in the DWT files that weren't loading or something, there was a little bit of a disconnect there. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so we can save that. Now, that's right. I was going to show you opening in pure BricsCAD or AutoCAD. Can you still see my screen?
We can see your general Windows desktop.
Yes. Okay. So to run plain AutoCAD or plain BricsCAD or plain Civil 3D, if that's what you use, you need to make sure that you set the profile switch in the target. That's because if you don't, then when you try and run these, they will load the last used profile, which in my case is the Irricad profile. So I have put in my default BricsCAD profile there, and for my AutoCAD one, it's unnamed profile. Now, of course, if you've made your own one, then you would load that. So it's the /P space speech marks, the name, and then another speech mark. So you can use your Irricad link icon to just check the format because you'll see that ours will have, sorry, that was for something, that our icon will have the /P, the profile switch for the Irricad profile that we load. Okay, so now if I run this, this will be pure BricsCAD or AutoCAD. And then I know for sure that I am not going to have any chance of Irricadizing my template when I am editing it. So here we go. And whoops, what do we want? We want BricsCAD in this particular case. Templates. DWT. Okay, and then we can make the changes that we want to make. Okay, what we'll do is I'll do it in AutoCAD because possibly most of you who are using Irricad Link are using the AutoCAD flavor. And as I said, if you've got a mixture of licenses, edit the templates in AutoCAD anyway. Sorry, let me go open. Nope, what am I looking for? Users. App data. So all of your other things like your CUI files are under roaming, but your templates are under the local folder. And You can blame AutoCAD for this. This is their method of putting everything all in these places. Um, right, template. Oh, sorry, DWT. Right, so if I select the one that I made, which is open in BricsCAD, no, it's not, it's open here. Okay, so we're going to look at, now just remember that everything that you do in here will be saved. So if you change the zoom or you add something, it will be saved in your template. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to look at changing or adding um, the company logo instead of your company name. So here we can see that there's some fields. We'll just have a look to see what they are. Okay, so this one here is the company name. So here we can see that there's a list. Um, if it's looking at all in the field category, just change it to document because that will shorten the list considerably and you'll be able to find the Irricad keywords much easier. Okay, so if that's the company name one, that's what I want to remove. And for this, we're going to be using insert object instead of inserting an image. And the reason for that is when you insert an object, it's embedded in the design, in the template or the drawing, rather than simply linked to the image file. So we'll be using insert object, or in AutoCAD it's insert OLE object. Create from file. So I'm going to browse to my desktop and it's best to use a BMP image. Now, one thing I did find yesterday is that if your images are not um, opening automatically with a, sorry, why won't that resize? Aren't opening automatically with a sorry, I've forgotten the name of it. With a program that can be used for OLE objects, for editing OLE objects, then you're just going to get a little icon. Now, why aren't you resizing? There we go. That's better. And then let's move you into place. So if, for example, let me just do the OLE object and the PNG file. You'll just get a little logo like this because the PNG is linked to Earth and View. Won't it move? Is linked to Earth and View, which is not suitable for rendering these. Oh no, it's not rendering. So I've completely forgotten the word that is used, or the name for it. So if your logos are coming in like this, change your file associations. So what I did is I changed my file association for the BMP file to the Windows Paint, which is, the one that's automatically installed with your operating system. And then it will show through. Now, the other thing that we want to note is that this logo has a boundary on it, which is good for selecting and moving, but it's not something we want to print. So what we want to do is we want to use our OLE frame key command number 2. And that means you can see the frame, but it won't print, which is quite helpful. Now we can save as, always save as, and let's go logo. Now, if you want to save this layout individually, you can use the layout SA or layout save as, and it will save this layout into its own individual DWT file. So if you wanted to, you could do this with all of your particular layouts, save them to their own files, and then just bring them in when you need them into the designs that you're doing. So yesterday we were looking at the plot template keywords that we could use to pull in that information from the company, client, and design information. So if we go back to Irricad link, we'll be able to see in Irricad options, which is the original settings, that we still have all of that, all of those fields and dialogues available for that type of information. So once you've filled this in, it will come through as we saw yesterday. Okay, however, the fields, the keywords are now in-text fields. So when we double click on them, we get the in-text text formatting. And we can select, as I showed you before, we can select any of these keywords that are available there. So this particular one is a design site that is there. So we can add our own. We might want to add something about the client, and we can do that as well. And we can change the formatting as well. So we can use the legend text, for example, change the size, etc. The way that AutoCAD and BricsCAD do the text is quite different from what you might be used to in Irricad standalone. If you've just made the transition, you'll notice that is quite a marked difference. AutoCAD and BricsCAD use text styles more than individual properties of each piece of text. And this is so that if you change your text style, it will change all of the pieces of text that use that style. Sorry, if you change the properties of a text style. Okay, one of the things that you might notice is that when you have a design that you have either imported from, sorry, it's not that one, imported a DXF file or a DWG from someone else, and you'll find that it doesn't come in with any of the Irricad layouts. It just comes in with the standard AutoCAD layout. Now, this will also happen if you are converting a standalone design into Irricad Link. What we want to be able to do is, of course, not only add our own layouts, put both of those in, we also want to be able to use the actually, I don't know the size of this one. I will go back to the one I had before. Okay, so we've added them. That the scales won't be present. So if I look at the viewport here and have a look at the quick properties, we'll find that there's a whole lot of architectural scales there, which are not perhaps the ones that we want to use. So what we can do is there's two things that we can do. One thing is that we can edit the scale list using scale list edit and oops, removing the ones that we don't want to see, and we can add the ones that we do want to use. So for example, I'm going to add 1 inch equals 200 foot. Whoops, 200 foot. So one paper unit is 200 drawing units. So now when I tell Irricad to populate the legend, prepare the layout. Sorry, I need to zoom. Okay, because it's going to choose a scale that is closest to what you said that you want. So what is this one? Okay, 1 to 200. So that was the closest that was loaded to what I wanted there. But the other thing that you can do is you can edit the default scale list. So in AutoCAD, you can go to Config, User Preferences, Default Scale List, and you can add this would have been the old list. I was playing with this last night. And you can add the ones that you want in your scale list. Sorry, equals 100. Get to put a foot on it. 1 equals 250 foot. So I'm not being very systematic with this. Okay, and that also means that when you run into the situation again, you can have a look at, oops, sorry, what is, you can very easily um, load the scales that you want to use. So if we go back to scale, list, edit, if we go reset, it's going to load the ones that you've just seen me working on, putting in the scales that I want to use. Now in BricsCAD, the method is to go to the default scale list command and make your changes here. Don't delete the one-to-one. And as you saw in AutoCAD, there were some that it wouldn't let me delete, but most of them can be. And then you can put them in. Now, if any of you use the metric um, units, then there is a complete list in the Irricad manual of what you should be putting in for the common scales. And then when you get to this situation, let me just load that imported design again. Just use one that's not currently in use. Oh, sorry. Then when we go to the scale list edit, what you've put in, you can reset via this, which I haven't changed in BricsCAD. Now in AutoCAD, the list lives in the registry, but in BricsCAD, it's actually a file. So you can share that file with other people if one person in your company has set that up. Are there any questions about using the layouts or making changes to the layouts in Link?
So one question is about the date. I think a little while ago I found that the date was different than the date that we use in standalone. And how do you populate the date?
Well, this isn't one of our keywords. It comes from AutoCAD or BricsCAD itself. So it tends to be so it's not getting the date from where we would expect it. Oops, go back to the model space. Oh, there might not even be oh yeah, there is a date in here. So I don't think it's not getting it from there anymore. It's getting it from the computer. It does, if you find that your designs are not updating, oh, this probably hasn't got any information in it. Let's put some information in. Let's go back to model. Details. we can see that some of the information updates quite quickly, but if you change the layout, change between the layouts, it should refresh. I don't have a designer name in there. But yes, the date has always been a little bit different than the rest of the fields, let's say. If we change it to create date, that works a little bit better. And if I add another template, oops, that's strange. Ah, is it still in a, yeah, I wonder, I'm going to do some tests on that actually, because we're used to this date being the correct, oh no, we might want it to be the plot date. At the moment, I don't think the date comes from Irricad, the way that it is at the moment, but I'll have a look at that and let you know.
When I was working on this last week or so, it did seem to be the current date for the day on the computer, but it didn't populate automatically. So I just had to right click it, and there was a menu that I was able to select something like populate date, update field. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Are there many users in the class that are using Irricad Link?
Sorry, mostly there are a few, Joe, and mostly on BricsCAD.
Okay. Oh, I should have started with BricsCAD. BricsCAD's my preference as well. If nothing else, if you don't know where a setting is, you can search for it. It allows you to do that. Um, oh, what is it? Insert units. Insert. With AutoCAD, if you don't know, it's yeah, you've got to look somewhere else to find out where it might be. Um, okay, well, I hope that's been helpful.
One thing, if you could review quickly, is the target shortcut for the default profiles, and maybe if you could zoom in on the property screen so that people can see that.
You mean on the plain AutoCAD and BricsCAD?
Yeah.
Oops. Oh, sorry. We didn't want to run it. We just wanted the properties. Okay, so if we're looking at AutoCAD, right click properties. I don't know how to zoom in.
That's okay. I think after the session, I have them on my desktop and I can show them.
Yes, okay. And then this is the um yeah, the default for BricsCAD tends to just be called default these days. It used to be called 2D drafting. But of course, if you've made your own profile in the plain AutoCAD or BricsCAD, then you can set that up instead. as long as it's not something to do with Irricad. And you won't be able to see it because it's on my other screen, but here's the properties of the Irricad icon. Here you can see our profile switch, which says to load the Irricad profile and everything to do with the Irricad menus and commands and workspaces and things like that.
Thank you again, Joe. Any further questions for Joe on the templates in Link? If you could summarize what are the key steps, things not to forget, Joe.
Yes. Okay, so the most important thing is if you are going to be editing your templates, do it in plain BricsCAD or AutoCAD. If you have different licenses in your company, edit the templates in AutoCAD, not BricsCAD.
Okay, and there was quite a lot to digest there. So this has been recorded and we'll make it available so you'll be able to study it in your own time. Well, thank you, Joe. We appreciate it.